if you can post your brunch, you can post your brand and your brain for that matter. Now, I'm Nicholas Davenport, and this is episode 2 of Industry Pathology. Now, let's think about social media and content creation and our field in mental performance, sports psychology, or just psychology or the behavioral sciences. This is something that doesn't get emphasized a lot, whether it be in school or just in day-to-day practice. I see a lot of different people in this field shying away from sharing content. They might interact or comment on different people's posts, but they're not doing it themselves. That's why I say if you can share your brunch, which most of you have shared something leisurely on your page, your profiles, why can't you do the same when it comes to your brand? I didn't say business, because if you don't have a full-on business, your brand is always there regardless of what your job occupation is. But basically, social media and content creation is your portfolio, almost like a resume, because when we want to be an authority in this field, people first thing they're going to look at is what you're posting or what you talk or sound like. And if it's not there, they're going to automatically assume you can't do it. Now, I get it. You might be the best at your job. And I know a lot of people who have no presence that are amazing. I know people who have a great presence are not so much. But it's all about perception. And we talk about this in psychology all the time. It's how we perceive thoughts, right? Whether it be anxiety or cognitive processing. So it's the same thing when people come to see, should I work with you? Now, when I say it's like your portfolio, your resume, this is because I'll use an example. When I was getting thought of to be a consideration for this corporation I work with now, the first thing they asked was, do I have any content showcasing how I talk, how I have a philosophy of doing my mental skills or mental coaching, how do I handle crowds? And I literally had a video of each of those things. I had regular content on my YouTube that was edited where you can see the creativity I came up with different topics. I also had full footage from workshops I had put on from beginning to end so they can see how I interact with crowds. So it was simple as me copying and pasting a link in the email. And guess what? I got the gig. It was a pretty good gig financially, but even better for the opportunity. And it was easy because I already had it. So that's one thing people don't think about, because people get caught up in like the influencing aspect. I was at a conference with someone. They asked me a question about getting their feet into this, but they were scared to be thought of as some gimmicky, trendy influencer. And granted, that is a thing, not just in our field, but in general. And I definitely don't want to come off as that, but you have to blur that line of someone who's going to entertain and educate, but not come off as too gimmicky, but not too dry and bland and trying to just teach. Because I said in the first episode, you want the people to learn, but not teach them. And I know that sounds as a contradiction, but when you get better at practicing and getting better at content creation, you'll do just that. And that's another aspect of making content is you'll practice being a better speaker. You'll understand how to deliver thoughts more succinctly, and you'll be more flexible in your thinking, because when you're in front of that camera, as I am right now, people get caught up in the getting nervous. You get those jitters out because it becomes second nature. The more you do anything, you get better, right? You're not going to tell your client, hey, think about some self-talk, make it more productive, do it one time and go out in the game or go out into the workforce and make it happen. No, you want them to rehearse it and practice it. For every video I make, say it's a 10-minute video, it was probably 20 to 30 minutes of raw footage. Out of that 20, 30 minutes of raw footage, it was probably 30, 45 minutes of planning and either writing up my bullet points or organizing my thoughts. And after that hour or so of all that, it's another 30 to an hour of editing. So it gives me a lot of time not only to understand what I'm saying while I'm doing it, but to reflect on it and say, next time I could be better. There's many times where I'll stop in the middle of recording and start over again because I just said, I could make this better, even if it was good. And sometimes I cut it up where parts weren't as good, cut them out and put the parts from another clip, put them together, and it makes the whole thing. Even this very video was just what I described. So that's another aspect of why content creation. You can see where I'm going because I've yet to speak on the actual posting and likes and views. Now, this comes into another story. I was at a conference. I guess I do a lot of conferences where another colleague, she was saying, I want to hire someone to do my social media. And I'm kind of like, I would say just do it yourself. Save the money. She was willing to pay someone $15 to $20 an hour, maybe 10 to 15 hours a week, nothing crazy, but that adds up. Do the math. That's about $1,000 to $1,500 a month going out the door. And as a business owner, I look at every revenue I can save as much as possible. So I gave her some tips on how to do it herself. And quickly, she got heated, and not in a bad way, but she pushed back and said, I didn't go to school for this. This is not what I do. I'm a mental coach. Now imagine telling your client, oh, I'm not a great hitter, so I'm just going to work on my fielding in baseball, or I'm not a great shooter in basketball, so I'm going to work on just my passing and defense. You wouldn't. You would help them get through that barrier to be better. And I try to do the same, but I kind of backed off because I don't like pushing buttons that much. So basically, you can't be in the framework of I'm only going to do what I want to do, because how do you get your skills exemplified? Like I said before, when people come to your page, it's telling a story of not just who you are, what you do, but are you good at this? Because the more free stuff you give out, which is this content, the more they can trust you. Because when someone books a session with you, it's not because you have a degree or a certification or you were recommended. No, it's because they trust you. And for me, I've put out thousands of videos, probably 4,000 plus on Instagram and over 1,000 on YouTube. So there's 5,000 plus things to show. I want you to learn this, and it's no charge to you. So when I do say, hey, this is what I cost, you already say, I trust this guy. I know what he's about. He's willing to give me all this information. Now, why wouldn't I pay? Now, does that mean everyone will love it? No. But the goal is to make them comfortable. And the more comfortable they are to understanding that you know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, you're consistent, you're adequate with your information, it makes it that much easier to be respected, not only with your colleagues, but also with the people who need to utilize your service. But on that note, let's go to reach. People get caught up in likes and views. Why those do matter when it comes to the algorithm with YouTube, Instagram, whatever it may be, reach is more important. Reach is different. Engagement and reach means who did this go to and how many people interacted from comments and sharing, because comments tell people that you're engaging and they want to know more or learn, and they talk amongst each other, meaning your topic must really matter. That's what the algorithm likes to promote. Now, shares tells people that more people need to see this or hear this. And if the more people share it, the more people are going to get it. And the more the algorithm say, we need to push it out even more. So by proxy, you get more engagement. Now, views do matter because that means how many people actually watched it, but also how long were they watching? Because if it's a 10-minute video and they only lost 45 seconds, that's not going to do much. But if it's a 5-minute video and they watched 3 minutes, guess what? They got more than half of the video, which is a lot in the terms of content. Now, that's a whole other topic I can go into with the different types of social media, but that's I guess a perfect segue into which is the best for you. There's X, or formerly known as Twitter. There's YouTube. There's Instagram. There's many others, but the big three would be Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram. And obviously LinkedIn is good too, especially for professionals. And that's where this video is going. But basically, your personality and your teaching style is going to dictate that. Someone who's more long form content that wants to really teach and educate, they're probably going to do better on YouTube. YouTube is meant for people almost like television. People want to watch something and engage and be there for at least 8 to 10 minutes minimum. And then maybe longer like podcasts, but that just depends on your content and what it's about, because podcasts may not be the best route sometimes, depending on who you are, how you talk, and what you're talking about. But shorter form content like, say, TikTok or Instagram, where the reels are a minute long or less, you can get quick bits of information that's more trendy. That's where you have the music sounds, and the algorithm pushes it because that topic or that music might be trending. You can make that useful when you're explaining a mental skill and you have the background music. So people take advantage of this. So it just depends on what do you want to be illustrated as, but also what makes the most sense for the type of message you're going to deliver. Now, I've just said a lot of different things, and this goes to the point where people say, oh, but this is so tedious. It is. And it goes back to saying, what would you tell your client? It is work. It's going to be more to do, but at the same time, it needs to be done. There's a lot of parts of being in this field that isn't just sitting down with a client asking about performance issues or trying to counsel them. That's the action. But it's just like saying in a sport, teams are not just doing the things that causes them win, like practice hitting or free throws. They're doing the things like strength and conditioning, agility training, their film studies, so they know how to adequately gauge and execute plays on the other team side. So it's more to it. So why would we not do that for our own business or our own brand? So you need to do this stuff, tedious or not. So like I said, if you have time to post yourself going out with friends, posting your food, going vacation, that's fine. But if you are doing that stuff, it needs to be on a different page. That's a perfect segue into professional versus personal. I personally never had a personal page since the beginning in my MySpace days. I'm 36. MySpace was back in like 2004, 2005. I've always had page for my music, page for my training company, now MindBody One. So I've always had a business page. But if you have a personal page, separate it and make one just for your brand and or business. That way, if you do want to post trips and all that stuff, cool. But they don't need to see that on your professional page, because imagine I'm someone who can give you an opportunity to exemplify your skill set with a company, a team, a client, whatever it may be. And I go there and see you out with your friends, turning up, and that's fine. Live your life, but it doesn't look professional. And I know when I'm looking for potential interns or workers, that's the first thing I go to. And I don't really take them seriously, not saying they can't be good, but I'm looking at it as they don't really care about this that much. So perception is everything. So make sure your professional brand is being emphasized and completely separated from your personal brand. It doesn't mean you can't exemplify who you are. I have some posts where you can see a little bit inside my personal life, but not much. You don't really know a lot about me from that standpoint. But since so much of what I do is intertwined to who I am in my company, it still gets out there to some degree. But all this being said, what is the pathology? What is the issues? It's not just showing your personal life and negating that you have a brand to build. It's not about saying how much likes and views am I getting or not getting, so I give up. Don't quit because you're not getting likes and views. So guess what? You're probably not going to get a lot for a long time. I have videos in the hundreds of thousands, but there was years I got barely 100. But guess what? 100 is still more than 5 to 10 people you're probably seeing a week. So the reach is there. And that's what it's about. Because if someone comes to your page, they have something to go through and say, hey, I like what they're putting out. They got a lot of it and they can almost binge watch it. You want someone to just see it one and done and say, dang, I wanted more. Oh, well, attention spans are short these days. So you need to make sure you keep people wanting more. It doesn't mean you have to do it every single day, but have a schedule like anything else. That will help with the tedious nature of posting content. Treat it like any other aspect of your job or what you do for your business. Plan it out. Have a script, or me, I use bullet points usually, or I just know in my head what I want to talk about and I'll just go through each bullet point. That way I'm guided through, but I never go in with nothing. You always need to have some kind of structure. So whatever that means for you, that's what you do to make sure you can be consistent. Have a day where you do the recording, have a day where you edit it or have someone edit it for you. That way you can consistently put it out in a systematic way. Now that's the pathology. So what is my diagnosis today? Digital avoidance disorder. Simply put, you're not showing what you can do to the world. We got billions of people that can see your content. You ain't even posting it. That is a problem. So with that being said, get your mind right. And that's my pathology.